Hey guys, welcome back. Robocraft Early Access coverage. This is episode 42. I'm Enigmius, and today we're continuing with the Yellow Bot Mystery build. This is a Tier 7 SMG hover. We actually did some match footage. If you missed it, it was episode 40. The latter half of the video was a match in this guy. So I recorded all the footage of the build, and then I realized after the fact that I wanted to make a very, very important and very large change. And that's the mystery part, because I'm not telling you what it is until after the initial build is done. So today, mostly gun mounts, because we haven't done enough gun mounts lately. It's just the way it worked out with this one. We laid in all of the other components, the rudders, the hover blades, the thrusters, the driver's seat. Obviously, you can see that sitting there temporarily out in the open. All that's really left to do is put on the guns, and this thing has 12 guns, 6 on top, 3 on either side. It's not designed for optimum firing in the sense that every projectile will count. There will be times when you'll be firing in one direction, you'll see projectiles fly off in the other because it's coming off the side of the bot that can't reach. But the redundancy makes up for it, because if you only had enough guns on here to cover the optimal spread, because when you got 12, it's kind of crowded. If you strip that down, eventually you would reach a point in a match where you would lose the guns, and then you would lose damage output, and then you're kind of just as bad off. So I'd rather start with 12 and have some firing wonky and last to the end of the match than start with fewer and not last to the end of the match. It's that simple. So the gun mount's a little bit different because we are kind of working towards the edge of the bot. Now, I mentioned in the last episode, this build was inspired originally by the unfortunate disaster that was the Thunder Guppy. With a name like Thunder Guppy, what did you really expect? Too large, too heavy, too difficult to control, and that was a big one for me. We were, spending all of our time just trying to stay on the damn path and not go careening over the edge, and not enough time worrying about where we were going and what we were doing. Lots of firepower, but not really the mobility. And because we used up so much CPU just doing the gun mounts for that build, it didn't even have the, for such a large bot, it didn't really have the robust kind of long-lasting feel to it that I would have liked. So that's why I started working on this. We're going to do something a little more compact, a little more dense, with everything that we needed tucked inside very neatly and very cleanly, and hopefully have all the guns, all the offense, the survivability, because there's so many blocks, it's so densely built, but with the maneuverability that makes it really fun and entertaining to play. That's kind of key, is if it's not fun to play, then who wants to play it? It doesn't matter how many flyers we can shoot out of the sky if we don't even want to get into position to shoot at them. So gun mounts, kind of a big thing. Realistically, once they all get on, then the bot is done, because there won't be enough room to put anything else on the top. The sides will be covered. There's going to be kind of a gunbrella effect on this bot. Now, we know there are mechanics in the game from plasma and rails that prevent gunbrellas from being really effective, but that doesn't include SMGs. So versus SMGs, when this thing is brand new and shiny entering into matches, it's going to have a lot of coverage where you have to destroy the guns before you can get to anything underneath them. So that's going to help a little bit with the survivability. I can tell you that this has been in some matches very, very recently, actually, with over-tiered plasma that just gouge big chunks out of the bot, and there's nothing for it, really, short of covering the thing in electroplates, which is very, very difficult when it's already covered in guns. Over-tiered is over-tiered. We do the best we can with what we've got. Fortunately, it's not always like that. Most of the time we go into matches with this thing and we do very, very well. Very, very competitive. There's nothing that we really find intimidating, because we do have that mass. We have that ability to soak a lot of damage before things start going crazy. Realistically speaking, though, the ultimate goal is the Tier 10 bot that this is supposed to be kind of a prototype for. And the reason why I would rather have Tier 10 than Tier 7 is because there's more RP to be had in Tier 7. In Tier 10. To me, if I have a choice between doing a lower tier match for RP and doing a higher tier, it's not even a choice, right? I can get up to 250,000 RP in a Tier 10 match with premium. Half that, obviously, without premium. versus maybe, 60 to 100,000 in a tier 7. It's just not even a comparison. But doing this in tier 7, like I mentioned also previously, I have a bunch of components for tier 7 that I never did buy, and I learned with the Tesla coils that sometimes leaving things unbought is a mistake because something can get added that relies on having those unlocked before you can buy the new stuff. So we're going to take care of the tier 7 stuff that I haven't bought yet. We're going to have a little bit of fun with this bot in the tier 7 without having to worry too much about RP. We're not there for the RP. And then we're going to take what we learned from this bot and put it into a tier 10 bot. What I can tell you is that the construction on the tier 10 bot is already underway, and it's going to be the most complex build that I've done yet, because we're going for as much armor as aesthetics. It's intended to be a very good performing bot, a very competitive bot, but also the best looking bot that I've built to date. There's going to be a lot of nifty tricks involved in that you guys will be able to see how to make it work for you, hopefully, because it's going to work for me. It's already laid out. It's already looking like a badass. So we have to get through this build. We'll probably take a break. We'll do one episode of some sort of match footage, either in this or in the tier 5 Entropic Slug, because we haven't done anything with that yet. And then we're going to get into the tier 10 build, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. I don't care if you are or not, because I am. So now we've got basically most of the gun mounts in place. And now it's kind of bulking things around in between the gun mounts, getting those kind of squared away. The thing here is I don't want to run out of CPU. Very, very hard to run out of CPU in a tier 7 bot when you're level 70 plus. But I still want to make sure that I'm kind of taking care of business and getting things that are important looked after first, so that later on we don't have to think, we should have done that and now we have to take something off in order to make it fit. That's kind of the worst case scenario for me, is having to take things off to make important things fit. It's just, and it happens too much. So right now we're just worried about getting a little bit of a shroud around the driver's seat, as much to conceal it as to protect it. I don't like having the driver's seat sitting out in the open if I can avoid it, because it just tells everybody they know exactly where they have to shoot to make this a quick end for your bot. So it's a good idea to conceal it as best you can. I always end up with the one block directly above the pilot seat. You can't put anything on it to cover it. So quite often I'll have it so if you're looking down on the bot, you'll see the helmet of the pilot. I'm not too worried about that. It's not as visible as having the whole entire pilot seat exposed. So now we're kind of, like I say, just building out, adding blocks that add density. That the density is where the armor value comes from. The more blocks you have to shoot through to get to something important, the better off you are in terms of the defense, obviously. And also, it gives you more time to kind of keep your own guns on the enemy target without having to worry about maneuvering to safety, because obviously position and cover are just as important to survival as armor, especially if you don't have much armor, or if you're relying on something like electroplates that might need time to recharge. Cover is important, but in a bot like this, we want to be able to keep the guns trained on the enemy for as long as possible before we have to duck to cover to either soak a bit of healing or give the enemy time to be distracted by someone else before we peek back out and resume the barrage. So one of the things that I've noticed with the Pretty Hate Machine, I've mentioned this in the past, is that the back end is kind of exposed. The difficulty with that is that one of the first things that I lose in any match, especially if I end up flanked, is my thrusters. And once my thrusters are gone, control of the bot just basically goes to crap almost immediately. So we want to make sure that we learn from that, and in this build make sure that the thrusters aren't so easily exposed to fire from the rear or the sides. So you can see we're building that out a little bit, and also in the process of doing that, we're kind of working towards the back row gun mounts so that we can put the guns on the back. That'll be all 6 on top, and then we just have to worry about the ones on the sides. Pretty straightforward. So same in the last video, I'm not going to yammer over the entire video. I'm going to let you guys just watch the last little bit, see how everything goes together. Next episode, we're going to finish it off. It's going to be combat ready by the end of the next episode. Then we'll do the match footage, and then we'll be into the tier 10 build, which is just so awesome. I'm so looking forward to it. So if you want to be notified when I add those videos, you can always subscribe to my channel and or follow me on the social media. You can get links for the social media in the information section below the video. Please do leave your comments and feedback. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and take care.